What is up, everybody? This is Sir Joseph here, and welcome to my very first grinding podcast. What you're gonna do, what you're gonna see in this video, is me grind my face off in whatever video game I please, and talk about random shit. And today, we just happen to be talking about wrestling stuff, as you can tell from CM Punk and John Cena in the background pictures there on your left. I'm going to be talking about some events that have taken place in wrestling that happened on June 27th, not really on June 28th today. I was going to do the podcast yesterday, but I want to give a shout out to somebody who I kind of just discovered on Twitch a few months ago. Got by the name of High Spirits. He does really cool Dragon Quest uh, speed runs for all Dragon Quest games. The guy's amazing. His streams are hilariously cool and really fun to watch. I'm following him on my channel, so you can look that up on my channel and then go ahead and give him a follow. The guy's awesome. Okay, let's talk wrestling. Let's talk about last night's Raw. I'm just going to give a little bit of review of that. Last night's Raw, they had to have, they had to address the Roman Reigns suspension in some aspect because whether he's liked or hated, he is still, he's still the guy that WWE wants to push. So they had to talk about it. It had to be mentioned. It had to be addressed. I think WWE knew this going into going into Raw, and so that's exactly what happened. It started with Seth Rollins coming out. He pulled up what's his name? He pulled up Roman Reigns' tweet saying that, oh, what haven't happened. I own it. This is all on me. Whatever. And Seth Rollins just kind of says, "Oh, you don't own anything. I own you." That kind of stuff. Da da da. Whatever. And then Rollins says, "I should. The match should be just me versus Ambrose." Dean Ambrose comes out. Dean Ambrose says, "I think the triple threat match is going to keep going. That's going to stay a triple threat match." And it is. And for reasons I'm going to explain why later. Then AJ Styles comes out. AJ Styles comes out and says, "Hey, you know what? I beat John Cena, so I should be put in the match, and it'll remain a triple threat." And Cena comes out. Cena says, "Hey man, I've been champion 15 times." And it was 14 years to the day that John Cena made his TV debut. I'm going to talk about that much later. So Cena says, "Hey, maybe I should be added to this so that it'll become a fatal four-way match." And then I think Ambrose says like, "Oh, what about Roman Reigns? They'll make it a fatal five-way." So that's pretty much what happens. Stephanie McMahon comes out. And she goes, "Well, if AJ Styles and John Cena want to be in the title match, then they'll have to earn it." So it goes. I think it was John Cena versus uh, Seth Rollins, and it was Styles versus Dean Ambrose, I think. And if they win their matches, they get put into the title match at was it Battleground? Yeah, Battleground. Yeah, Battleground. I thought it was Payback for some reason, but no, it's Battleground. Long story short, they lose their respective matches, so it's going to be a triple threat at Battleground. It's going to be, the Shield triple threat. They couldn't hold it until SummerSlam. They couldn't have it wait till SummerSlam. They had to bust their load all over this right now because God forbid they wait until a big pay per view. No, instead they're going to wait until some like piddly WWE Network exclusive because that's real smart. I would have booked it for SummerSlam, and it's gonna be even less because now Roman Reigns is suspended until right before the match. right before Battleground. So what this means to me is that WWE is rushing. Like, why do they need to rush? Neither of these three are going to go anywhere. Okay. Now, if they want Roman Reigns to be like I don't know if you can call him a, what do you call it? Established champion by SummerSlam, then I can see their point. But that, to me, that makes zero sense because you have all the time in the world to make Roman Reigns an established champion. Why not wait for the big Shield triple threat match that everyone's wanted since 2014? Why not have it take place at a big pay per view? It doesn't mean anything. Okay, it doesn't. It's going to be meaningless. I don't like it. It's really stupid. I wish they hadn't done that. I wish they hadn't. I wish they hadn't just busted their load all over this too quickly because it just doesn't make sense to me at all. Okay. Other things that happened, they had a Jericho highlight reel where Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens come out. Sami Zayn cuts a really good promo on Kevin Owens, saying that Owens was jealous of Zayn being going to WWE and being in NXT before before Owens and other stuff like that and whatever. It just really you could tell that the feud needs to wind to an end because the brand split's going to take place on July 19th. So they gotta blow this off somehow. And I truly do believe that's going to happen at Battleground. Why I just entered town, I have no idea. So yeah, let's see what else happened. Nothing else of significance really happened on Raw. The Wyatt family have all but one of them, all but Luke Harper, have all returned from injury. Uh, the New Day, they come out and they talk about the Wyatt family, they talk some shit, whatever, about the Wyatt family, big deal. The Wyatt family come out and they're kind of mimicking the New Day a little bit, that kind of stuff. So we're gonna see a program with them probably in some aspect. The Miz was on Raw, and they had Corporate Kane come out in front of Stephanie McMahon, and Corporate Kane's like, "Hey man, the title, any title, needs to be defended in 30 days. So the Miz should defend the title tonight because his 30 days is going to be up." Stephanie McMahon says, "That's a great idea. Who should he go up against?" Kane goes, "I don't know." And Miz goes, "Who am I going to face for the title tonight?" Stephanie McMahon says, "It's a secret." Turns out it was Demon Kane. Demon 47-year-old Kane. And the match was, oh my god, the match was so stupid. So, Kane's beating up the Miz, whatever, whatever. And Maurice, who came out to ringside with the Miz because they're married and shit, so, be around together. They, she, goes to distract the referee, and then she fakes the fakest leg injury ever, causing the Miz to get out of the ring and pick her up and walk out and get counted out. So they keeps the title anyways. The crowd was silent during this, and it was dumb. It was really bad. I didn't like it at all. It sucked. Let's see what else happened. I know I'm jumping around here. So I didn't really pay attention to Raw at all. I knew it was going to be a really blah Raw because no Roman Reigns, so no. No crazy boos for the guy that everyone hates. Nothing to talk about really. It, it's it's this time of year during the wrestling season. It's kind of lame because nothing really happens. I mean, everything's, I mean, like, yeah, like stuff's getting built up for SummerSlam or whatever, but nothing of real importance happened at all. So Raw was kind of buck, was kind of lame, it was kind of meh, and I didn't really care for it. But whatever. All right, now I want to compare to what happened 5 years ago, exactly 5 years ago, when CM Punk did his infamous pipe bomb promo. Okay, so it was a setup for Money in the Bank 2011, and CM Punk said in the weeks before he did the promo, see it in the top left of your screen, that's him doing the promo. It's a clip of him cutting the promo. He mentioned in weeks prior that his contract with WWE was expiring in 2011, in July 2011, that is true. He only signed a 5-year contract or a 6-year contract from '05 to 11. Yeah. Okay. And so during the match, during the final match of Raw, it was. I remember it. It was like it was during Raw Roulette because they were in Vegas, so they had like random ass matches. And the last match on the card was a table match between John Cena and a newly turned bad guy, R-Truth. They had a match at some throwaway pay per view called Capital Punishment, I think it was. Some really weird pay per view where it was all like where the theme was like political cartoons. It was really stupid. A lot of things in WWE in 2011, from mid 2010 to until this pipe bomb from CM Punk, was probably one of the worst years in professional wrestling in WWE that I had ever been a part of. It was ridiculously. It was just so stupid. Okay, so CM Punk comes out. Where's the Steve Austin shirt? Which I thought that Austin was going to come out because the week before CM Punk, but Steve Austin was on the show, and CM Punk said, "Oh, I'm straight edge. It means I'm better than you, whatever." So I thought that he was wearing the shirt to mock Austin, and I thought Austin was going to come out and beat him up. But no, nothing like that happened. So Cena lost the match. Punk gets on the mic and he starts going off. And like a couple of minutes into the promo, I'm like, I remember it. I remember it very well. So I was in my one bedroom apartment, still had my cat, still paying whatever $700 a month for rent. So I was an idiot. And I remember it very vividly. I remember like I was just kind of like dicking around, whatever. And then he starts talking about like Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. And I go, holy shit, they're letting this guy go off the script here. What the hell's going to happen? And he pretty much starts complaining about all the same things that a lot of fans back then were complaining about. The fact that Vince McMahon, doesn't understand the business anymore. And that because there is no real competition, that he could just make all kinds of mistakes and get away with it. That he surrounds himself with yes men, like John Laurinaitis, who at the time was the director of talent, whatever it is, director of talent, and starts talking crap about him. And then he says hi to his buddy Colt Cabana, and it mentions Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling. And what it really did, I think it really made WWE think. It made WWE go, whoa, we have to do something here because this product is getting really shitty despite The Rock and Steve Austin making several appearances in the first Raws of 2011, in the first half of it, no one's liking our product. So I think they had a little meeting with Punk and they said, hey man, speak your mind. You're good at speaking your mind more than anybody else. And in the year before, he had done promos very similar to the pipe bomb. He was part of the Straight Edge Society. He had a little group called the Straight Edge Society, and yeah, like he would talk about stuff that happened on previous Raws that were like that were just really cringeworthy. So to me, the way that CM Punk did the promo was not new to me. The stuff he said, however, really did shock me. Uh, and I remember they cut his mic as soon as CM Punk started mentioning the the Be a Star campaign. I remember he said, "You know that whole bully campaign," and then it just shuts down. The thing about that was that he was absolutely right about the business and about Vince McMahon and about how things needed to change and everything like that. And to me, that's always gonna that to me that'll always remain like a day where like things really took a change for the better in WWE. Um, because before then, like I said, the back half of 2010 and the front half of 2011, that was the worst 365 days of wrestling that I've seen in a long fucking time. Because it was the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. It was John Cena beats everybody. And that's pretty, or John Cena and Randy Orton beat everybody. Or 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 the next. Here comes the Nexus. Oh, now they're gonna get beaten up by guys like Cena and Orton. Everything just revolved around John Cena, Randy Orton, and The Rock. And I remember that was one thing that Punk really hit home with the promo. He hit this one out of the park. He said no one's better at kissing ass in WWE than The Rock, and it's true because when The Rock came back 2011 in February, I remember I think I did a video about it on my old channel. Actually, no, it was on the same YouTube channel that I have now. I just had a different name. I remember saying Rock has proven everything. What does he have to prove? What does he have to gain in a match with John Cena? What does Cena have to gain in a match with The Rock? How come that match couldn't have taken place 5 years before, or even in 2007, or hell, even at WrestleMania 2025 in 2009? No, they had to wait until when wrestling was at its absolute worst, and then they say, "Oh, we need a ratings spike. Let's send The Rock in." You know what I mean? And apparently others shared my opinions, my beliefs, and apparently it got to a critical mass, and CM Punk decided to have CM Punk air. And it led to a really long title reign with CM Punk because it was true. CM Punk was being very underutilized before uh, before the later half of 2011. He proved himself in the independent circuit. If he did not if he did not prove himself in the independent circuit, then he would have had nothing to say in his defense. But he did have something to prove. He did prove himself in the independent circuits well before WWE, well before 2005 when he went to WWE Developmental. So, so his question was, how come you're not making the most out of me? How come you can't How come you can't put your trust in someone whose name is not Triple H or Randy Orton or Batista or John Cena, something like that. You know what I mean? And he was visibly upset. And at the time, as well, he should have been because yeah, he was an underutilized talent. And it's funny because there was a lot of complaints about what happened because the next Raw after took place on July 4th, and that one was taped. So it kind of got out that it was a work, and people didn't like that. But I thought that whether it was whether it was scripted or non-scripted, whatever, CM Punk had a lot. That promo needed to have taken place. If that promo didn't take place, if that promo segment did not take place at that time, let me tell you, man, WWE TV in the rest of 2011, it would have been worse than anything in 1995. And if you have WWE Network, go watch some Raws in 1995 in WWE. Holy shit, will you see some awful TV? Okay? Alright, so now let's move to that young man on the lower left, John Cena. 14 years ago. Well, not to the day, because it's the day after. It's close enough, damn it. 14 years to the day, he made his TV debut. Now, John Cena, from what I understand, he wanted to do bodybuilding before wrestling, but wrestling was also something that he had in mind. Okay, but his primary passion from the documentaries I've seen of him and from what others have said about him is that he wanted to do bodybuilding. And when he came into WWE, he looked more of a bodybuilder than a wrestler. And but when he worked that match with Kurt Angle, who, let's face it, no one learned at a quicker pace and at a and more efficiently than Kurt Angle. Okay, here's a guy who comes into WWE to work a dark match in 1998, and then by 2002, he's like he's like I don't know what's it called. He's one of the top performers in WWE, one of the top draws, one of the top performers. That speaks volumes. Okay, and apparently, and how cool of him to go, hey man, let me work with this brand new dude, John Cena. Let me give him like what 15 or so minutes I think their match. I don't know. That's on the network too. You can watch that on WWE Network. Uh, the entire Raw from 11 where CM Punk does his pipe bomb. That is not on the network, but the promo segment itself is. So you can watch that if you have the network. But with John Cena, I remember that too. I remember that too. I was 20 years old. It was right in the middle of my junior of my, uh, right in the middle of my junior college career, and I remember watching this random SmackDown in summer 2002 in SmackDown. Jesus, it that was every show was amazing back then. In fact, I'll contend that all of SmackDown in 2002 had some of the best programming on WWE TV that I've seen come down the pike in a long time. Right? And that day was no different. So Kurt Angle comes out. He calls out anybody who can beat him. 'Cause he was like some, aggressive bad guy, not like the prick bad guy that he was going into, or like that he was before, but more like he was the he was the ultra competitive alpha male bad guy. You know what I mean? The tough bad guy. You know? And he said, anybody back there, I don't care who it is. And out comes out comes this blue chipper dude with with just the most basic gear in the world. And he comes out and here's this hot rookie, John Cena. John Cena gives Kurt Angle more than 15 good minutes. and Kurt Angle got 15 great minutes out of John Cena. And this was at a time where it was roughly it was a little bit more than a year after WCW got bought out, and where all the WCW and ECW talent were kind of migrating to WWE. But what people don't understand, what people overlook about 2002, well, that was TNA's first year ever. And TNA, ever since they became an organization in 2002, they were looking to snipe WWE stars, to use a Twitch donation what do you call it term. They were looking to snipe stars from WWE, and especially new guys. Uh, a few of which really did perform in WWE, and were seriously considering going to TNA Wrestling. When Scott Hall got fired, TNA Wrestling picked him right up, and he said, "Hey, come wrestle in our organization. We'll help you put some. You can put some new guys over. You can stay relevant. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff." R Truth, who I mentioned earlier, before he became R Truth in WWE, he was a guy named K Quick in WWE. This was in 2001, and when TNA Wrestling became an organization in 2002, within a few months, you saw K Quick on it. And he was not K Quick, he was Ron the Truth Killings. And he was, I think, their very first champion. So I think I think knowing this WWE said, "Hey man, we know these guys are still green, but we need to get them on TV. This way they don't look to TNA Wrestling to give them a better paycheck, give them more TV exposure, that kind of stuff." Because TNA Wrestling, what they did in 2002, and I think all the way up until 2004, when the first episode of, I think it was Explosion before it was Impact. I don't remember exactly. Was they did weekly pay-per-views. So that got their guys to get a ton of TV exposure. And if I'm John Cena in 2002 and I'm 22 years old, because that's how old he was in 2002, he was 22? No, he was 25. My fault. 25, yes. So if I'm 25-year-old John Cena, I'm thinking to myself, hey man, that's TNA Wrestling. They are looking for new guys. It would behoove me to go over there and get some good TV exposure. So I think WWE, it was a really good move to put John Cena on TV. Also, Randy Orton was on TV made his TV debut just a couple months before, and Batista made his TV debut a couple months before that. So 2002 is when you really started to see. I call them like I don't know. I call them to let me talk about them like it's Final Fantasy V. They're like the Dawn Warriors of the WWE Ruthless Aggression era. Brock Lesnar, Batista, John Cena, and Randy Orton. Those are like the four guys that WWE said, "Hey man, we are going to give you the ball. We want you to run with it as much as you can, as long as you can, until you cannot run with that ball anymore." And 14 years later, John Cena hasn't aged. He is kind of showing his age in matches, but you wouldn't be able to notice it, him being 39 years old. I mean, look, a 39-year-old Hulk Hogan, you knew he was showing his age. Okay, let's give credit where credit's due. Mick Foley at 39, yeah, you knew that match was going to be very slow. You knew it was going to be a lot of weapon shots, a lot of overselling. that kind of stuff. I mean, no disrespect to Mick Foley. I'm going to be meeting the bastard in this weekend at a convention, okay? And same with Terry Funk. Terry Funk in his 50s, guy still wrestles in his 50s. You know it's going to be a slow paced match. Same with my favorite wrestler of all time, Raven. Raven is in his mid 30s was starting to get slow. You are not seeing this with John Cena, so you're not seeing this with Randy Orton. You definitely are not seeing this with Brock Lesnar because he's like an actual fighter, an actual wrestler. Before WWE, before UFC, he was NCAA. So WWE knew this. They knew that these were four guys, three of them being in their mid 20s, who were just hungry for success, who were hungry to claim a spot in wrestling, no matter where it was, WWE or TNA wrestling. And yeah, Batista too, even though he was in his, I think what, mid 30s, something like that. So WWE knew. They knew that they needed to use those stars immediately, and they did. And it was a great move by WWE to do so. And I'm actually glad that we're seeing that we saw John Cena on WWE 14 years ago instead of seeing John Cena on TNA Wrestling 14 years ago. Because let's face it, what would John Cena have done in TNA Wrestling? I mean, yeah, the guy would have been. I mean, we would have seen him versus AJ Styles like all the damn time. That's another guy who was in WWE developmental. TNA gave him the call, and off to the races he went. Who else? Yeah, along with Killings. Who else? CM Punk even. You saw him in TNA wrestling in 2003. So the fact that WWE knew what to do in that premiere or that inaugural Ruthless Aggression era year, 2002, the fact that they took a chance on some very young and talented individuals in Randy Orton, John Cena, Batista, and Brock Lesnar, to me, that meant that they had the long term in mind, which is great. And it's like I said, now we're seeing John Cena versus AJ Styles. Yes, it's a match we wanted to see a decade ago, 14 years, 5 years ago, a decade ago, 14 years ago, whatever. But look, we're seeing it now, and they ain't looking too bad. So, this ends my grinding podcast. I hope you all enjoyed it. Oh, got a text on my phone. Hold up. All right, anyways. Okay. Uh, so I hope you all enjoyed this podcast. Only one person joined in on Twitch. I don't know. They probably just heard me running my mouth about wrestling while grinding, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm out. Peace." I can't blame them. I don't have a lot of followers on Twitch yet, but whatever. This is fun. I like doing this. Um. Okay. So the next grinding podcast, I don't know when that's gonna be. Um. I might do it tomorrow. Actually, I'm gonna be visiting a on and off girlfriend of mine. And I don't know if she's down to do a podcast. That one will not be able to be watched live on Twitch, but I will put it on YouTube. So I don't know. I might do one with her. I'm gonna be spending my birthday weekend with all my childhood and adolescent buddies in South Florida. I might be doing some stuff with them. Who knows? So stay tuned. Thank you all very, very, very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. All right. Keep being awesome. Peace.